Good morning. We are going to make biscuits and gravy. And yes, those are store-bought biscuits, and that is what we are making. My family actually kind of likes it that way. And what the heck, that's what we're doing. So let me get out the pan and set my oven. Okay. Let's see. Half the family like crispy biscuits. One of the family members prefers less crispy biscuits. So I have parchment paper. This one happens to be an unbleached parchment paper. Going to get my pan covered here. Alright, and start my biscuits. Our ingredients for sausage gravy is basically sausage, butter, flour, and biscuits. These things hate me. Alrighty, I'm going to wait till the oven gets to temperature before we put these in, and we will be cooking them for 13 to 16 minutes. Don't throw away the instructions. You will refer to them at least 3 more times because that's what I always do. And I try to clean up as I go. Now, when I bought the sausage for my sausage gravy, they come in 1-pound packages. We like the hot style, which is a little bit more southern. Everybody in the family pretty much likes the hot style. So for the volume needed for like a family of 4, half a pound, not a pound. Pound is too much. I tried to make it with a pound once and everybody yelled. It was the wrong amount. So this is a recipe where everything should be small crumbles, really well cooked, sauteed, etc. We're looking for teeny little crumbles. I'm just going to make sure I have most of the meat out of that package. Rinse my hands from the raw meat. And get a wooden device. This one looks good. You can hear the pan is starting to sizzle, and there is a little bit of oil in my pan from when I washed it last night and coated it with just a little bit of oil when I put it into the oven to keep it from rusting. I don't take fabulous care of my cast iron, but as you can tell, I think I've been using it in something like every other video. So I use my cast iron a lot. This is actually my favorite pan that I inherited from my mom, which may or may not have been one of my grandmothers. She has so many, and I've had several over the years. This one's my favorite. It's a good size. It can do most of the things that I need it to do. without getting too over full for my family. And generally I'm cooking for somewhere in the region of 4 people. I have family members in and out all the time. So I have millennials who bring friends, millennials who bring spouses, girlfriends, etc. I'm looking for all of this to form crispy crumbles, basically. So, good amount of cooking here. I've turned it down from the highest heat. Cast iron carries the heat a lot, so it's just going to continue. You see, our goal is little crumbles. And the little crumbles will be spread throughout the cream gravy. The cream gravy I'm going to be making, I'm going to be doing it by eye, so there's no particular measurements. But if you wanted measurements, it would be something in the region of 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of flour, something in the region of 1.5 cups to 2 cups of milk. That's kind of your overall measurements, kind of rough. As you can see, I'm scraping up the bits. I want all of that nice brown stuff. And when the meat is no longer pink, I'm going to add some butter. Somewhere in the region of 2 to 3 tablespoons. I'm going to make sure this is a little lower in temperature. And yeah, it's getting crispy, crunchy, maybe even a little bit burny. And I'm going to throw in some butter, not measuring that carefully. And butter contains water, and so it will actually help degrease the pan in this first couple of minutes. And there, my oven is heated. Toss these in. And move the skillet I forgot was in there to the lower right. So biscuits are in, and we're going to say 13 minutes to start. Alright. I started the sauce a little early. I should have had my oven preheating a little bit before I turned the video on, I guess. But this won't hurt anything. It just means I'll have more time to amend or adjust my sauce for the amount of creaminess that I would like. Alright, so that's melting nicely. Again, when I do this particular recipe, I'm not much for measuring. Some things I measure more closely. It's not one of those. So I'm going to grab what I think is about 2-ish tablespoons of flour. You want to sprinkle it like that on the pan, as we're trying to not create lumps, but get every piece of the flour coated by butter. You can see it's been bringing up the brown pieces from the bottom. And we are going to, oh, that's more butter, okay. We're just going to make sure that the flour has a few moments to cook. So we have pans on about half power at this point. Again, cast iron retains heat really easily, so you just kind of have to keep an eye on it. If you were doing this over a gas stove, you might not need to change the temperature on things quite so much. But with electric, it kind of retains that heat as well. So, and that looks to be about good. I don't believe we'll be needing more flour, so I'm going to put that away. this case, you can see that our roux in the bottom of there is actually turning some color, which means it's been cooking a while. This is kind of a browned roux sauce, as opposed to like a macaroni and cheese where you would want to keep it as light as possible. And I'm just going to add a dose of milk here. This is going to cool the pan. It's going to release some more of the crunchy bits from the bottom and give me an opportunity to stir all of the roux in with the milk. And we are just going to let the pan come back up to heat. So I put all of that cold milk in at once. It's going to take it a minute. You can see it's still starting to heat back up, and you're going to start to see it thicken as well. As it heats, it's going to thicken. This is a combination of both the roux, and as we release some of the liquids from the milk, it can evaporate and cause thickening as well. So there are actually some sauces that are just made from thickened milk by boiling off the water slowly and gently. And let me turn down my temperature a little bit. And we're going to add more milk. Good. We have about 8 minutes until the biscuits should be checked. They may or may not be ready at that point. They might need 3 more minutes or so once we do. So I can just slowly mix this, and as it comes to boil again, see if I've got the right thickness. At the moment it's quite thin, and that's fine. While I'm waiting for it to come back up to heat, I'm going to add a little bit of spices. And this is cayenne pepper. So this is the hot stuff. It'll make a nice bite in the back of your throat. Kitty, 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 kitty. Guys, stop fighting. Puppy and kitty cat. They're not really fighting. And I'm going to add some red pepper flakes. Again, this is the way my family likes it. None of this is a required thing. And I'm going to add some black pepper. Not a lot of anything at the moment. We're going to taste this once it's getting closer to the consistency I want. And right now, we are just going to cook it down and let the flavors meld. Devour, let Help Kitty alone. He does not want to play with you like that. It's coming back up to heat. You can see we've got some bigger pieces of meat. Anytime I see those, I'm going to try to chop them up until they're teeny tiny. And as you can see, as it begins to heat up, it's going to continue to thicken up. Hey, you too. Help Kitty, stop it. You're instigating it. Wow. Sorry, I talk to my pets, you may have noticed. Alrighty. And this is looking nice. The biscuits have about 6 minutes, and I'm just going to keep this on low. Actually, I'm turning it lower. When you drag the item through and the path where the spatula is stays for a minute, not a full minute, but just like, a second. This is getting closer. As you can see, when I drag it through, I can see the bottom of the pan. I'm going to be going for a little thicker than this. we've got like 5.5 minutes where I'm going to be playing with this. But this is essentially all there is to sausage and gravy. I could serve it right now and it would be perfectly acceptable. I do need to taste it, however. Make sure I have the right amount of salt. Your sausage may be very salty, it might not be so much. Ooh, a little heat in the background, that's nice. And a little bit of salt. Again, this is for my family, so I know how they like it, what their preferences are. You can see the path that's following my spatula is getting a little longer as the sauce thickens and the milk reduces. About 4.5 minutes and we will have biscuits. And that is all there is to it. Have a good breakfast.